So as you know, or maybe you don't, I send out friendly notes every Sunday. And I usually include, they're kind of a roundup of what I've been doing for the week. So there's the podcast, and then there's also whatever writing I've done that week. And every now and then, the muse, the poetry muse kind of hits me, and I'm moved to write a poem. So now, just as an aside, if you want to get this top drawer kind of stuff in your inbox every Sunday, it's easy enough. You just go to the website, or you can just email me. It's john@furtheremergence.com, and I will put you on the list, and you'll get a friendly note from me every Sunday. I also, keep you up to date on the different trainings I'm doing and that kind of thing. So, last Sunday, I wrote a poem, and somebody asked me a question about it. So rather than just read the little bit, I thought maybe I'll just read the whole poem. So let me just get somewhere a little bit quieter so that you can hear me, and I'll read that, and then we'll come back here. The poem is called Stick With It. When you care so much that your heart never stops breaking, and the weight of love throbbing within you is a constant lump in the throat of your being, and there seems no way to live and feel this much, stick with it. When you can't unsee the worst of it all, and the past leans heavy on your valiant heart, and you are twitchy and bitchy and cruel, and you lash out and collapse in sorrow, stick with it. When you know, but no one else does or seem to care, and you see it all from so many angles that you are held in frantic paralysis, stick with it. When you are on your knees and you feel you can't take any more, stick with it. When you feel you are a small and insignificant part and that it's all happening out there, and how you feel about it and how you think about it doesn't make any difference and the world is not interested anyway, stick with it. When the pain is confusing, irrational and relentless, stick with it. When you feel like nothing is changing, stick with it. When the weight of neglect and sorrow and shame leads you to frozen indecision, stick with it. When every day is overwhelming and exhausting, stick with it. When you are unsure of everything and everyone, including yourself, stick with it. When you can't get off the couch, stick with it. Stick with it even though it feels hopeless. Hopeless, no more. Live your inner world externally as if your life depends on it, because it does. Stick with it like Velcro. Stick with it like a toddler to a mother's leg. Stick with it like peanut butter to a blanket. Stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. When your bigness is pushing you forward to jump off the cliff and fly, and you are not ready and you don't know how, stick with it. When it's all changing very fast and the magic is scary, stick with it. When the weight is lifted and you're not sure who you are without it, stick with it. Stick with it because you care, because you're here, because even though it seems meaningless, you know it's not. Stick with it for no reason, but stick with it. Pretend you have a choice and choose to stick with it. So, yeah. It's kind of a combination of my own experience and just my experience with one-to-one work and the sort of things that people go through. We just go through on this thing that we're all involved in of becoming more conscious, and how difficult it can be, and how to just stick with it. So this person says, "Hi John, nice poem. Could you elaborate more on this idea? Live your inner world externally as if your life depends on it, because it does." So that is to do with, it's kind of from the whole manifestation world of, or it's taking cues from the manifestation world, meaning, you know, this thing of like this area of manifesting, which is usually associated with very practical material things like money, love. I know love isn't a very material thing, but, you know, finding your ideal partner, finding the work you want to do, all that kind of stuff. That's usually what manifestation is about or focused on. But that line refers to this idea that, like, why is existence so difficult? Why is it so hard? Like, one of the things that's so hard about existence, for me anyway, and I think for a lot of people, is that the external, or what feels external, I won't get sidetracked on that, external doesn't reflect what's inside. Left to my own devices, I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't want any animals to suffer. I don't want anything to suffer. And I wouldn't, you know, not consciously anyway, inflict any suffering on anyone. I want everybody to have enough food. I want everyone to be happy, you know. As I think it was, I can't remember who used to say this, some guy, it's a famous quote, or it's a quote I like anyway. He had a good name, but I just don't remember it. And it's this idea of what I want for myself, I want for everybody. And that's true. And yet, when I look out, people are doing awful things to each other. Terrible, terrible, terrible things that just break my heart. And what's so difficult about that is, like, this thing doesn't reflect me. This thing is not an expression of me. You know, that's where the feeling of, like, alienness comes from. Meaning, you know, we can feel like an alien in our own world. We can feel so strange and so out of place. And the sad thing is, everybody feels it to some degree. And, you know, how can that be? How can we all be feeling like we don't fit into the same thing? So this idea of living your internal world externally means any chance you get, you express, or I express, what it's like inside. Anywhere I see it, I focus on it. Anywhere I can, I express it, both to myself, meaning inside me, and then also, you know, to other people. And to not hold back and to not be afraid of being weird or anything like that. Just take my foot off the brake of expressing love, expressing kindness, expressing softness, gentleness, whatever's inside me. Putting that outside so that I can, you know, live as if the outside is the same as the inside. That's where the manifestation bit comes in, because one of the things you have to do in manifestation is live the future you want now. You live in that future that you want now. You expect it, and that brings it closer to you, because it's a neutral field, and it can just, you know, in the kind of gamer analogy, the virtual reality analogy, it's all pixels. Pixels are neutral, they'll just do whatever. So what you charge the pixels with, what you charge the field with, is what it becomes. But it has to be done through repetition, because of the safety gap of time, you know, meaning, you know, if you think of a dragon, you don't want to drag it to appear. So while we're still figuring out how to do it and how to be focused in our intent, we have to do it repeatedly. So living your internal world, meaning the sweetness inside you, externally, living that all the time, and living it as if your life depended on it. What I mean by that is, you're not going to die. I don't mean it in that way. You're not going to die if you don't do this. But that's different to living or having life. You know, it's this thing about, or it's the difference between just surviving and thriving. So if you don't do this, it sucks the life out of your life, and you're just living, you know. You know about that. You know about just living. You know, anybody who commutes, anybody who, mostly commuting actually. Commute is it's a really good example of not living, or of having no life. You just, you know, you can try and pad it out with beautiful audiobooks, nice music, maybe you meet somebody on the train or whatever. But you know, there are those times when you're just sitting in the car, or you're just on the train or on the bus, and you just, there's no vitality, there's no life. It's just living, it's just existing. So, living your internal world externally as if your life depends on it means the life in your life, the vitality in your life, the juice, that's what I'm talking about. If you live your internal world externally as best you can, you have a much better chance of having more vitality, more juice, more life in your life. So that's where your life, the vitality, it depends on it. It depends on you doing that. So that's all tied up together in this line of live your life, live your internal life externally as if your life depends on it. It kind of gives the urgency to it, the importance to it.